you were able to raise huge amounts of money and get government resources. Are you concerned about where this administration is on global funding for HIV/AIDS? Do you worry, some of the advances are going to go backwards?
No, I'm very worried about that, and I would think that many more people would be. I believe that the best dollar the federal government spends is dollar investment in scientific research. The biblical power to cure, and to do that in a way that takes advantage of so many intellectual resources in our country. To cut that off is shameful. It's shameful. And look at the effect that it has on not just HIV/AIDS, but every other diagnosis you can name.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama said at a recent event that America isn't ready for a woman president. She said there's a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman. Do you agree with her?
Well, I respect her, and I know that view is one that we all are saddened by, but I think we have to change. The fact is that I've heard every excuse in the book, I'm not sure a woman could be commander-in-chief. Well, why not? Well, I served in the military. Well, okay, and so do women serve in the military. So I think it's hard, Anderson. I always thought we would have a woman president long before we had a woman Speaker of the House. I didn't set out to be Speaker.
Really? You thought there would be a woman president before Speaker of the House? Why?
Because I thought the American people were much more ready for a woman president. Just the thought of it, it's so exciting. And the message it sends to the world, faster than there would be a woman Speaker of the House. This place, it's, shall we say, male-dominated for hundreds of years. And so when I ran for leadership, they said, who said she could run? Oh, poor babies. I'm not waiting for you to tell me I can run. But, and so there's a pecking order here of men who are going to be this, that, and the other thing for a long time to come. It still exists really on the Republican side. But so that's why I thought it's not going to happen here, but it will happen outside. But it hasn't. Now, people say to me, kids say to me, students, they say, it's nice you were Speaker, but I'm going to be president. I said, well, I certainly hope so.
I just want to quickly run through a couple of major events and to get your quick take on it. Becoming first woman Speaker of the House, 2007.
Pretty exciting, I have to say.
Pretty exciting.
But I'll tell you this, when I finished the first 2 terms, I remembered, when I was writing some notes that night to people, and I thought, I never really got into the accoutrement of being Speaker. I was just always working. So I see some of the men who have the job, and they really like the job. But
for you, it was about results.
It was all about results.
Passing Obamacare.
Oh, Obamacare, that was the thrill of it all. For 100 years.
Was that your top accomplishment, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, bringing health care to tens of millions of people, yes, that would be. Not the legislation, but the impact of it.
January 6th, obviously.
Oh, January 6th, that has to be one of the saddest days in American history.
Do you think the efforts to rewrite what happened on January 6th, in the eyes of history, will be successful?
I hope not. I think that what we did with the January 6th committee, it was about what happened. What are the facts of that day? And the facts of that day were that the President of the United States incited an insurrection and assaulting police officers and the rest, and insulting the people who make the Capitol so beautiful, threatening members of Congress. They're going to put a bullet in my F-word head, and we're going to hang the Vice President of the United States. How can they think that history will think of them as anything other than the thugs that they were and are?
Finally, what do you think is the greatest threat facing the United States today?
The greatest threat? I think, as with everything, apathy. People have to understand what is at threat, what the threat is, and what their responsibility is.
It feels like a lot of people feel like observers, like they are just watching this as opposed to engaged and participants.
Well, I think that the greatness of our country is that so many people think it is strong enough to withstand even what's there now. I thought we could withstand one term. I don't know that we can withstand 2 terms unless we win the House next time.
You really think that the stakes are that high?
I think the stakes are that high.
Why do you think, I mean, if Democrats do gain control of the House,
Yeah.
why would that be so important in terms of altering the course of the remaining years of this administration?
When the Democrats win the House, not if. We won't be able to achieve a lot because we will not have a signature, but we'll be able to save the country from a lot of the damage that is springing.
Democrats would be able to be more, obstructionist or stopping?
It's not obstructionist. It's on our oath of office. And by the way, in a way that, again, is in keeping with the rules of the House, the Constitution of the United States. That these are all being violated now. You understand that?
So if Democrats retake the House, you're saying Congress would actually live up to its legislative role?
Yes, of course, which we are not doing now.
This is your first interview since you've announced that you'll be retiring at the end of your term. Why go now?
Why did I retire?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've been eager to sort of go into another phase of life for a while. I thought Hillary Clinton was going to win in 2016, and the Affordable Care Act would be intact, and our country would be in great hands. She was so qualified, and then that didn't happen, so we had to stay to make the fight, and now we're making the fight again to protect health care, which is, of course, one of my flagship issues in the Congress of the United States. So my timing here was attached to my mission here. It isn't attached to what I want other people to do. It's what my purpose is here. Other people have to make up their own minds about how long they stay and when they go, and I wish them well on that.
One of the things you said recently in an interview, you said that President Trump was a vile creature, the worst thing on the face of the earth. Do you think he's different now than he was in his first term in terms of his abilities, his leadership?
By the way, I said that as a euphemism. I could have done much worse.
You could have done worse. You could have said worse.
Yeah.
Do you want? Are there other adjectives you'd rather use?
No. I want to talk about my House, the House Democrats, and how we're going to win and what's there.
But just in terms of what you are racing against, I mean, and I know you haven't spoken to him in a long time.
Nah.
Do you think he's a different leader than he was back then in the first term?
I think he is, but I think more dangerously, he's surrounded by much worse people than he was before. There was some check on him before, but I don't see that now. I think the people that he has appointed are probably the worst cabinet in history. But apart from that, they're employees. It's not about what they think; it's about what he thinks, and that's it.
In most administrations, a president would take pains to say, the Department of Justice is not my Department of Justice, it's the Department of Justice. Do you feel like those norms have evaporated?
I think the whole world thinks that, don't you? I mean, because they have. And this is so sad because, again, with liberty and justice for all, pledge to the flag, and that's what our country is about. When you look at the experience that we're going through and you see that due process, forget about it, right? Independent judiciary, that's not what they believe in. And the Justice Department to be an arm, a political arm of the White House is really not what our founders had in mind in that oath of office that we take to pledge to protect the Constitution of the United States.
Yesterday, Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, was welcomed with great fanfare at the White House. There was a big dinner. What did you think of that?
Well, I think that our country has to deal with people that we may not respect their values and the rest. I think that what has happened to Khashoggi was shameful beyond words. And okay, so that's what this Crown Prince did. I'm more concerned about what the president did. I absolve him of it. It's okay with me.
He said things happen.
Things happen. Things happen. So, they are who they are. In our interest, our national security interests, there's a judgment made. Do you talk to Putin? Do you talk to Xi? Do you talk to whomever it is? And even though we don't have shared values, but to say things happen, that was too much. But let's not talk about him, because we are talking about the future. We're talking about the future, what comes next.
And for you, the issues to run on are affordability. I mean, just what we saw in this most recent election, the candidates who talked affordability.
Yeah.
One of the first things when you were elected, you were 47 years old in 1987, AIDS was a death sentence.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time visiting hospitals, holding people's hand. You lost a lot of friends.